Every year on Ash Wednesday, the Lenten season begins in the Catholic Church and other traditional Christian denominations. This year is no different as the Church is now spending 40 days of fasting, praying, and giving alms in preparation for the most important celebration of the Christian liturgical year, Easter. Lent lasts for 6.5 weeks, and during that time, the Church reminisces the 40 days Jesus spent in the desert, fasting, praying, and preparing for his ministry. Bishop Gabriel Malzier said this Lenten season is significant and should be considered as a time of reflection in the relationships that so many individuals uphold with God.
The reason for Lent is because it helps us to look at the word sacrifice, which is a necessity for salvation, because we live in a sinful world and we are all sinners and we're all trying to get to heaven. But how do we do that? We do that by making up for our sins, by working our way, disciplining ourselves so that we may be better prepared for heaven.
And Bishop Malzier explained that during the Lenten season, the Chrism Mass is celebrated where priests and bishops recommit themselves to the ministry, and Holy Thursday, which tells of the institution of the Eucharist.
In the Catholic Church, we speak of the Lenten journey as seeking to do our Easter duties. What it really means is that after all the introspection and the re-examination of conscience and the re-examination of our lives, it must end up in our confessing to God, confessing of our sins, so that we may be prepared to receive the Eucharist, which is essentially that sacrifice which Jesus made for us, which ends in Easter. So our Easter duties is that experience of renewal through confession, going through the sacrament of reconciliation, and confessing our sins and receiving the absolution of the priest. Every Christian, every Catholic Christian ought to do that during this season so that they will experience the resurrection of Christ in their lives.
He noted that in order to take the season seriously, one should abstain from partying or anything that would hinder them from focusing on God.
If I go to a party every weekend, how would I focus on God? Which means that the season makes no difference. So that kind of spirituality, that kind of disposition towards the season, which we're losing, needs to come back. We need to take more seriously the season of. It is my hope that every Christian, especially Catholic Christians, would take this season of Lent very seriously. It is, as I described it at the beginning, a very beautiful season, one of the most beautiful seasons. In fact, when I was growing up, I didn't like it because I didn't like the sacrifice. But now that I've grown up and I've come to my senses, I realize that it is really an opportunity. It is a gift that the Church offers us. It's a gift that Jesus offers us to imitate him in the most beautiful way. So I encourage and I invite all Christians to really take this season seriously, so that Easter will be really a time of rejoicing after we have dealt with our sins and we have mastered ourselves, that we can come with Jesus at the resurrection.
The Lenten season is a time set aside for reflection on Jesus Christ, his suffering and his sacrifice, his life, death, burial, and resurrection.